So this has been the most exciting stretch in credit cards that we've had for a while in recent memory, with new cards coming onto the market, current cards getting refreshed, and some of our old favorites getting nerfed. With that being said, this game moves fast, and with all the new changes, I wanted to ask myself how I would reset my wallet if I could just snap my fingers and completely pivot away from my current strategy into what the best setup possible today for my current situation is. In this video, I'm going to break that exact scenario down and more. Let's get right into it. So I want to share 3 things with you today. First, update you with my current wallet setup, bring you up to speed on the cards I have, but what's in my everyday carry that I've been using the past few months. Second, what I talked about in the intro. If I could snap my fingers and pivot into the best setup based on all the changes that have been going on right now, what that setup would look like, and exactly how it makes sense for my own life. Finally, for those of you who stick around to the end, I want to share a little bit of a life and a channel update. But first, let's talk about my setup and my daily carry that I've been using for the past few months. Now, on the screen in front of you, you can see the 9 credit cards that I have and the 1 debit card in my lineup that I can also tap into. Now, it's near impossible once you build up this many credit cards to use them all and use them well at the same time. Some of them, like the Amex Delta SkyMiles Gold, I've gotten for a longer term strategy and a good sign-up bonus. Others, like the Fidelity Visa, have been replaced by the Capital One Venture X just due to what I'm valuing at a certain time in my life. Still, there's others that work during parts of the year that don't work in others. I'm talking about the 2 rotating cards in the Discover It and the Chase Freedom Flex. Now, out of all of these, for 99% of my purchases, I'm using these 6. First, it's the Capital One Venture X. 2x miles back as my catch-all card, and I use it for rental car status and lounge access. My Chase Sapphire Preferred, 3% back on dining, and I throw a few streaming services onto that one as well. PayPal Debit is my 5% in-store grocery debit card. This card is really underrated, and I actually made a full video with a breakdown of that card specifically, so watch that one after this if you want to learn more. Chase Inc. Business Preferred. I just throw all of my business expenses onto that $95 Chase card. Citi Custom Cash. This is my gas card. And finally, the Amazon Prime Visa. This card entered my world in the back half of 2025, and it just made sense with how much my wife and I were spending specifically at Amazon. For anybody out there who's interested in this card, they usually offer it with a instant sign-up bonus, meaning no minimum spend, and it gives you 5% back at Amazon if you've got Amazon Prime. I've got a link down below in the description for anybody who wants to check that card out a little bit more. Now, this is a solid setup. It's got great earnings multipliers, really good benefits, and for the most part, it works for my life now. However, I'm seeing a much bigger and better opportunity based on what cards are trending in this day and age, and that's what I want to talk about next. Remember, this is what I would build if I could snap my fingers right now and make these cards appear into my life. This works for my wife and I, but I bet for a lot of you out there who are very similar to us, it would work for you as well. So let's be real. There is no single issue that's got more momentum right now than Citi. Citi's been making every single move right. They've added the right partners for their cards. They've added new cards, and maybe most importantly, they haven't had any critical nerfs in the past year. So that's why if I could snap my fingers, my base setup would be around the Citi trifecta. Citi Double Cash, 2x back catch-all card. The Citi Custom Cash, a card that I already have, but that's good for 5x back, up to $500 of spend per billing cycle, and it's got some really powerful categories like restaurants, gas stations, grocery stores, and select travel. And the third part, the travel card that I would choose in the Citi trifecta, it really isn't close. I value the Citi Strata Premier much more than the Citi Strata Elite, which was a new card launch in 2025. The Citi Strata Premier comes in at $95, and it gets you 10x back on hotels, car rentals, and attractions through Citi Travel, 3x back on air travel and hotels booked direct, 3x back on restaurants, supermarkets, and gas or EV, before getting 1x back on everything else. But that doesn't matter so much because we've got the double cash for all of our everything else spend. This card doesn't have a ton of benefits, but it does have a $100 annual hotel benefit if you put $500 of spend on a single stay and book it through City Travel. This is the basic City trifecta. Most of you already know this well, but it's a great starting point. In comparison to my current setup, which has 10 different cards spread out amongst different issuers, this one is simple and the synergy is really good. As you can see, the spending multipliers on this setup are also ridiculously high and very diverse. Finally, the City Strata Premier at just $95 gives me access to all of City's transfer partners. That includes American Airlines, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second, Avianca Life Miles, and Virgin Atlantic, which has some great deals in both business and economy for flights from the US over to Europe, and Choice Privileges, which transfers at a 1-to-2 ratio out of City's thank you points. It's also low cost, and the simplicity is perfect for my wife and I during this part of our lives. However, this setup is not perfect. It's got no lounge access, and it doesn't have a ton in the way of benefits with hotel status, rental cars, and nothing to speak of with airlines. That foundation is solid. It's a starting point. But in the next part, I'm going to tell you what the additional cards I would add into that core setup would be. This is where it gets really special and it kind of blows this thing into the next stratosphere. However, before I jump on the advanced setup build out, I want to tell you what today's sponsor, Max Rewards, can do for you. If you have multiple credit cards, we're talking Chase, Amex, Discover, Capital One, you need a card management app that will keep everything organized so you're getting all of the value that you wanted to get when you first applied for your different cards. Max Rewards is that answer, and it always helps me keep everything in line. First, Max Rewards automatically tracks your credits and benefits. It breaks down my rotating categories, tells me how much I've used up in my credits for the year, and it tells me what card to use when I'm shopping at different places. Secondly, I love what Max Rewards is doing because they've built an entire dashboard to take all of your spending across these different issuers and consolidate it into one simple reference point. You can see your total spend, category breakdowns, your monthly trends, and even keep track of your progress towards welcome offers. You can do all of this inside of one single place. Now here's the great news. If you want to try Max Rewards and get 25% off their premium tier level, Max Rewards Gold, Max Rewards is going to hook you up. You need to use the link down below or the QR code on the screen. Once you're inside, make sure to type in code GUARANTEE when you sign up, and that will issue you 3 gold credits. You'll get access to all of the premium features I talked about, and it's going to transform the way your credit cards work for you. Thanks Max Rewards for sponsoring today's video. Now get ready because this is the most exciting part of the setup, the advanced part of the setup build out. First, we've got a great starting point with the City Trifecta, but we're going to start to switch things up. My first step would be to add a second City custom cache. I'm going to take the City double cache that I have, go on City's app, talk to their customer service through the chat feature, and request a product change from my double cache to a City custom cache. That gives me 2 City custom caches to take advantage of that 5% up to $500 in each billing cycle. The first custom cache would be earmarked for grocery spend. That's one of my biggest spending categories. And the first $500 would always go towards grocery on that card. And then the rest of it would be covered by the 3X on the City Strata Premier. The next City custom cache would go strictly towards restaurant spend. The next step, I cannot leave all of that catch-all spending getting 1x multipliers, so I've got to make another adjustment. This is where my player 2, which is my wife, comes into the picture. She applies for the City double cache to give us that catch-all card that we can always use to get 2x back. Now it's important that this is on her account because we can use City's point transfer feature to take points earned on her account, send them over to my main account, which would work for both of us when we're looking to make redemptions, and we'll be able to consolidate all of our points in one place. Now, there are 2 keys when you're using point sharing. 1, you've got 90 days to make that redemption before those points get erased. 2, you can't use point sharing if that account has a City custom cache. That's why when I read the fine print, it's important to keep the City custom caches all on my account and use her account for the catch-all spending so we can safely share those catch-all points from her account over to mine because I wouldn't be able to transfer using the City point sharing feature. The next addition, bringing in an airline specific card. This would be the City A Advantage Globe card. This Globe MasterCard is new. It's got a $350 annual fee, but the benefits just work for a 2-player setup with access to American Airlines out of their home airport. First, we're talking a massive sign-up bonus to celebrate the launch of this new card. Then we've got 4 lounge access passes to Admiral's Club, which works perfect for someone who would be traveling with their wife to use 2 of those passes each time. We could do that for 2 trips a year. We've got a $100 splurge credit. I'd probably just use this on hotels, and a $99 companion ticket triggering after the first year of use. And that's what really sells me here, especially since I'd be traveling with my player too. Next, the icing on the cake card. I would actually add the Amex Platinum into this setup. It's the first non-city connected card, but it just makes too much sense and provides so many things that the setup is currently missing to finish it all off. Now, in my previous life, I didn't like or recommend this card to hardly anybody. That's because in my mind, the credits were too much of a chase to make up for that annual fee. Now, the annual fees actually increased, but the credits have gotten so much better and so much more usable. Plus, this setup I just laid out, it's already really got a ton of synergy, and it's pretty bare bones with the annual fee, so I don't feel like it's getting too complicated or too expensive. The Platinum card would be the last step. I would use this for advanced lounge access, basically passes for myself for any lounge whenever I travel solo, mostly for those work trips that I have to go on. I'd get rental car perks, they've got nice hotel perks, and it's got a Resi credit, which makes sense for my family. Finally, this allows both my wife and I to get TSA PreCheck coverage. One would be coming from the American Airlines Globe card, the other would be coming from the Amex Platinum. Now here's the bottom line. 1 City Double Cash for catch-all spend. 2 City Custom Caches. 1 for groceries, 1 for restaurant spend. 1 City Strata Premier. Great multipliers, and that $100 hotel credit. The American Airlines Globe card, lounge access, free bags, and the companion ticket. Finally, Amex Platinum for luxury travel. This totals $1,340 in annual fees. However, all of these are justifiable. I'd be getting more value than I'm paying in, and the setup is really not too complicated when you look at the bigger picture. So finally, for those of you who have stuck around to this point, I wanted to share a life update and how it relates to a channel update for the next few months in 2026. To take you back, this past July, my wife and I welcomed our first child into the world, our son, and it's been an absolute whirlwind and changed everything that we thought we knew. Our priorities have shifted from what they once were, and some days it feels like we're thriving, but for the most part, it feels like we're just getting by. What this used to all look like to get videos out 2 times a week was I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning before I'd leave for my 9-to-5 job. That would give me roughly 2 hours to focus on strategy, content, and really interacting and growing this channel, with the end goal being to make the best content possible every single week. Since July, all of this has changed and the priorities have shifted. Now some mornings I still get to do that, but a lot of times from 5 until I leave, it's feeding the baby, getting everybody ready for the day, and just working with my wife to make sure we're getting out of the house to start the whole day. So this is all evolving and it's a complete learning process, but here's my vision for how this changes the channel, at least over the beginning of 2026, and we'll see what it evolves into as life moves forward. First, 2 videos a week, that's going to be a thing of the past for at least the next few months. I want to get 1 good video a week out. Sometimes in certain weeks, I'll share 2 again. I want to make the quality of the content even better. And I'm going to focus on more research videos, more thoughtful videos, and I want to get back to sharing exactly how I'm using my setup in real life and what I'm doing for travel once we start getting back out and traveling more regularly as we hit a year old in the middle of 2026 with our son. I also have it as a goal to collab with more creators in this space because there are a ton of great channels and I want to challenge their perspective with my own and let you guys decide what you think are the strategies that fit your own lives. Now, not everything is going to change, and I hope you'll be excited about some of this and stick with me as we all go forward. I especially do want to hear from you too. If there's content you want to see or things that I'm missing on the channel, share it below and I'll start focusing on how to actually bring that to life through my perspective in the videos I get to make. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you, even if it's a week from now, in the next video.